Okay, so we are 1 o'clock. People are still coming in, but that's fine. I just wanted to thank everyone for tuning into this week's webinar Wednesday. So if you don't know me, my name is Stephanie Fox from the Network One, and I'll be moderating the webinar. And we've got Julian Balding and Paul Squirrel, my colleagues, that are also on the call, and they're available to help. So very quick housekeeping. We'll have a 5-minute intro from me now. Speakers will talk for about 35 minutes, followed by a 15-minute Q&A. And we're going to finish the main session by about 2 o'clock London time, 5-2. If you have any questions for the Q&A, please send those to me in the chat box. And if you have any technical issues, you can either message me or my colleague Paul Squirrel, again, in the chat box. We're currently recording the webinar, so don't worry about taking notes if you prefer not to. Thank you very much. So now on to the good bit. I'm very pleased to introduce our speakers, Sarah Lent and Curt Schreiber of VSA Partners. VSA Partners is a hybrid brand strategy and design agency. Last fall, they announced they'd be joining crypto solutions company Ripple as the premier creative partner for Ripple's $250 million creator fund. The Creator Fund was established to help creators, agencies, and the marketplace explore and create premium NFTs and other tokenization projects on the XRP ledger. So Sarah Lent, CMO, leads growth efforts across VSA. She's a seasoned marketing executive with 20 years of experience, and her career has been fueled by a deep passion for taking emerging technologies and coupling them with world-class creativity to contextualize them in the real world. Curt Schreiber is CCO of VSA Design and has been with them for 30 years. Most recently, Curt was named one of Chicago's most influential designers, and his work has been recognized internationally by the likes of Cannes Lions and the AIGA. So together, Sarah and Curt help companies leapfrog into this next generation of connected technology by designing impactful branded experiences within the emerging train of Web 3.0. So today they will be telling you more about all of that. And so I'm very pleased to now turn over to Sarah and Curt.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Sarah Lent. Curt, you want to say hi?
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining.
So we've got a presentation for you, which we will take you through, and we can answer questions at the end, but I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and get started. Okay, are we in action? Great, thanks, Stephanie. And thank you, Paul, for inviting us. So yes, we're VSA Partners. You know, we've been in business for over 40 years. We've been brand leaders in helping our clients navigate the change that we've all experienced over the course of a number of years, this one being the latest. But ultimately, we believe that Web3 technology is going to enable a new elevated future experience of branded experiences we're here to talk to you about today. So, you know, after, kind of a significant amount of research and digging around and understanding what Web3 is, what tokenization is, what are NFTs, what's the metaverse, we found this incredible stat, which I just thought I'd start out with today, that said 60% of marketers are really unsure about Web3 and the metaverse, and they don't understand it, but they're going to invest in it in 2022. And so we found that quite fascinating because people know change is coming. They know they need to get in the game. They're just unsure about how to do it. We felt like that's a real opportunity for agency leaders like us to ensure that we can get smart real quick and help our clients navigate this space. And so there's a lot of noise out there right now. I mean, I think Stephanie started the call out this morning with us to say, you know, I'm a little confused about this space. I can only consume what I read online, but I don't understand it. And that is completely fair because it's highly confusing. And really, there's just a lot of chatter and a lot of different opinions. And I think there's a way through it that we're going to talk about today that'll help our clients understand what's the first step to take, the easiest way in so we can learn and evolve and grow together. So how do you make sense of all this noise? Well, first of all, I think the best way to do it is to take a step back and look at the bigger picture, or rather a step into the future. And there's a convergence that's currently happening today. You know, with the integration of a variety of different hardware technologies with 5G and spatial anchors and wearables, And with blockchain and cryptocurrency and geospatial planning, there will be a world in our future where digital content will interact seamlessly with the real world around us. I think one of the greatest examples of companies that's building this future for us is a company called Niantic. It was a startup that spun out of Google, and the first product that they brought to market was Pokemon Go. And it was the first experience through mixed reality that we could see where digital experiences were enlightening the physical environment around us. So imagine that future. But ultimately, what the metaverse enables is this, and what Tim Sweeney at the Unreal Engine is trying to build, is the interoperability of what are currently now siloed media portals. And there will be a world where you will be able to move through different experiences and socialize and play, engage, and buy goods and services through those interoperabilities. To give you an example of what that could look like, you could be in a chat room on Facebook with all of your friends talking about, let's say, the latest Apple TV series that dropped. Let's say We Crashed. You're all talking about the series and the content and how much you love it. You can collectively together move from Facebook into Apple and engage with the We Crashed content, listen to the trailer, watch the trailer together, buy goods and services, buy the latest episode, have a one-to-one dialogue with Jared Leto on how he was a method actor the entire time he was filming the show. That interoperability is the foundation for what this new universe will be. But there are real kind of fundamental briefs that are coming our way as agency leaders today. Like the real briefs from our clients that are asking us, can you imagine what will be the future of retail in Web3? That answer could be, maybe there isn't a Nike town in every major city around the world. Maybe the future of retail is a personalized Nike town sitting in my living room, serving up personalized goods and services based off of my needs that they know as a user and a Nike lover that I ultimately would be best served with. And us as agency leaders, this isn't our first time navigating change and elevating creativity to help our clients find their way through this. The first fundamental shift that happened in advertising was with the integration of broadcast television in every home around the world. We moved our storytelling from print into this new medium and elevated our capability to have brands connect with consumers in a fundamentally different way, an engaging way. The one that we all lived through was with the integration of the mobile app economy. This transformation and intersection of data, technology, and design shifted brands from being able to communicate one message to billions to having true understanding of users and their personal needs, and enabled them to have one-to-one relationships with their customers. And finally, this next era of change is fundamentally the next shift that we need to help our clients navigate through. And so I know us as agency leaders, like the best agencies in the world do this day in, day out. They take emerging technology to the mainstream and they power it with they couple it with powerful storytelling and world-class creativity, and we bring our clients on the journey when we do so. So what is the next iteration of the internet? What is Web3? I think in the simplest form, if we go back and take a look at what Web 1 was, it was, the birth of the internet. It was from the era of 1990 to 2005. It was primarily a publishing engine. It was a read-only engine. There was an era of, everybody trying to get their content up online. Consumers were consuming it. And, there was email and chat function, but it really was the era of the blog. Then came social media and Web 2. And these tech giants enabled a new era that lasted from 2005 to about now, where it was around connection. You could read, you could write, you could engage. It was socially focused. But the problem with this technology is that the big tech giants, these large multimedia companies, own the rails and they own the rules of engagement. And so they can decide that they can change those rules. If you built a business on Facebook, they can fundamentally change the operating rules and you had no say about it. For better, for worse, Twitter owns the rails of communication. They can shut you down anytime and you don't have a say about it. In Web3, this is a fundamental shift in terms of ownership. It is, applications are built on some of the properties of Web2 that there is read and write capability, but rather than being built on rails owned by massive centralized companies, it's built on decentralized blockchains. Users now and builders can own the protocols, the underlying protocols that enable the applications that we use, like i.e., I can buy either. So it moves the focus of Web3 technology from connecting only to an underlying shared democratized ownership of the users and builders of the web. So we believe that the first step into the metaverse are NFTs. And I'm going to turn it over to Curt, and he's going to take you through just a little bit of fundamentals of what NFTs are and how we view them as they're integrated into the brand experience for our clients.
Thanks, Sarah. Yeah, so I think we're going to kind of start at the beginning here, and I think Sarah can click to the next slide. An NFT, I'm going to start with a couple of definitions. NFT is a digital asset. And I think the chart to the right helps to represent this. They're oftentimes representing real world objects like people, art, music, games, videos. And just like art and homes and theater tickets, they are worth what people are willing to pay for them. So they're non-fungible. And also like art and homes, they're bought, held, sold by collectors or owners as they appreciate in value. Now, unlike, well, in sort of ways, because now cryptos, you can start buying physical objects now with crypto as well. But unlike art and homes, the currency used to buy NFTs is digital, and that's AKA cryptocurrency. And but as I joked just a minute ago, I was in a store in Manhattan, and at the register they were saying they take Bitcoin if you wanted to buy your soda or your sandwich to go. So you can see how all of these worlds are now beginning to combine, and they won't be so organized in the future. Going to the next slide, the idea of NFTs were first tested on the Bitcoin blockchain, but it wasn't until after Ethereum launched did NFTs become what we know of them today, and their popularity began to rise. So popular that as of today, the total value of NFTs sold is well over $1 trillion. But there has been some areas of NFT creations that have also been obstacles or reasons to maybe not believe in them. And a lot of that has to do with the minting costs and the transactions, minting and transactions of what it costs to create an NFT, and also the energy that's consumed around it. Now, much of that is being addressed today, and there's crypto and there are blockchains that are much more environmentally friendly, and the costs to transact on them are going down. So I think that's a trend that we'll begin to see across the board. I want to walk you through just very quick at a high level of how NFTs work. Anyone on this call could actually mint and take to auction an NFT. Sarah, if you don't mind, go to the next slide. This is a grossly oversimplified model, but one would first have to establish a digital wallet. You create any piece of content, digital content. It would need to be minted on a blockchain. You need to choose a market. Oftentimes these two things go in hand. And there are lots of marketplaces that are being established today. And there are many also that we'll be able to see some of these later on, but they're being white labeled, and they can be incorporated onto your platform. You end up choosing your terms and conditions, and then they go live on auction. and then a buyer helps to see through a transaction. Now, what is interesting about all this is very transparent. And so unlike a lot of transactions today, this is one that's open for all to see and to witness. I'm going to walk you through some of the, like, who's making drops and what some of our observations were about them. You know, the first drops, and it was kind of crazy how during COVID, like all of this started happening, you know, while we were hoarding tissue paper and frozen meat. There was a bunch of early adopters that were getting in quite big, and it started with digital art. So some of these I'm sure everyone is familiar with, but Quantum claims to be the first ever NFT. Sotheby's auctioned it for well over $1 million. Everyday's, and I'm sure everyone had seen this because it was quite impressive, selling at Christie's for over $69 million, and there are others as well. But to the far right is kind of an interesting one that we discovered here. Ferocious is an 18-year-old artist from Las Vegas, and he minted and sold his painting, The Everlasting Beautiful, for over $500,000. And it's just, it struck a real chord with me that, you know, if an 18-year-old kid can do it, it's, you know, there's something here about the democracy of NFTs that I think that will still begin to be a period in which, like, all can enter and all can participate. So I find that example very interesting. Going to the next slide. Then shortly after music began, after art began, their drop music then began to enter. Kings of Leon were the first band to release a whole album as an NFT. You know, DJs were re-releasing albums. Grimes was one of the first artists to actually start cutting up pieces of the songs and doing different drops in different amounts, and actually began like a new business model. Up until that time, it was sort of like one piece of art or one song was an NFT. And now Grimes started a whole new model, which thousands were being auctioned of the same piece of content, which was a new, and Spotify today, I hear, is now testing NFTs on their platform. So you like a song, they're also offering up NFTs of that artist, which you can purchase. I don't think you can purchase right on their platform. I think it takes you to Mintable, but it's really interesting how, again, brands and platforms are all in this early testing and adoption phase to sort of see what's possible and see what resonates most with their customers. After music started, we saw sport jump into it very quickly across the board: soccer, baseball, football, basketball. But the NBA Top Shop was the one that I think, again, sort of started this like new trend and new business model, because you can transact on Top Shop with just a simple credit card. So up until this point, like a lot of NFTs, or almost virtually all of them, you had to have that crypto wallet. At NBA Top Shop is not required, so you can just plug in your credit card, and all that crypto exchange happens behind the scenes. They also offered up these packets too, kind of like the old baseball card packets where you don't know what's inside them. So the NBA was doing some pretty cutting edge stuff. I think this launched about a year ago or so. But I think the thing that actually is kind of resonating most with us today, and if you go to the next slide, Sarah, is utility. And utility, I think, is going to become key. I mean, it's already becoming key, but it's also becoming more of a requirement, because I think after kind of the hype of art and songs and other things are out there, I think that there's some other more meaningful utility aspects of NFTs that will really make them pervasive across all brands. Norwegian Cruises is using NFTs to create this connection between the physical and the digital. So connection. Philanthropic I know the Taco Bell NFTs were kind of silly, but they tied much of the proceeds to an educational charity. Authentication, which I think is a huge one. Louis Vuitton is beginning to put their whole process on the blockchain. So from farming to distribution, you can see and verify that your bag is in fact an authentic Louis Vuitton bag. And wines are doing this, champagnes are doing this, a lot of luxury goods where authentication really matters. And then access. Starbucks is announcing its Web3 platform now, and of course, you know, with access, you know, you get special experiences and special perks. Now you step back and you look at these and you say, oh, these are also happening across the entire customer journey. So if you map on awareness, consideration, purchase, and post-purchase, you can see where the NFT becomes this really important component across that whole customer journey. It becomes integral, a part of. And so we find this very interesting. And I think if you look through a lot of the NFTs and the way brands are using them today, they can be mapped to this journey. And then obviously that after that journey, one of the things that we're also really, really fascinated to, and Sarah pointed to this a few minutes ago, is that with brand loyalty, we know that with that becomes brand membership. And so if I'm a member of, if I fly United and I'm a member of the United Airlines club, I get perks, I get free trips, I earn points, I get discounts, special privileges. But also with that, now we think that there's a transition of brand ownership. So owning an NFT also will mean having brand ownership, in which we, as an owner, you'll be able to participate in the success of that brand. And so we see this potentially happening in lots of different areas, in terms of like ticket sales and other forms of collectibles and so forth. So, you know, this idea of ownership, brand ownership, we think is an important one that has much promise. I'm going to turn it back to Sarah to take us into this last section.
Yeah, thank you, Curt. And so, you know, the question that we've been asking ourselves, and, you know, our clients are asking us, is that why is VSA moving into this space? Why are we focused on NFTs? Why have we built this partnership with Ripple? And you know, from our perspective, is that, you know, the NFT market is a source of a massive amount of excitement, but there's a lot of uneasiness about it, trepidation. People don't know how to get in, and people are afraid to make a mistake. And, you know, I think that that is all 100% fair, because as we talked about at the beginning of this call, it's really, really noisy and really confusing right now. But at the moment, the rules and the engagement and like the assignment of how we attribute value and the long-term success of the market are unknown. On top of that, if you just look at it from an economic perspective and a growth perspective, like the World Economic Forum predicts that 10% of the global GDP will be tokenized, so moved into the digital economy just by 2027. So that's just like 5 short years away. And so that is a significant shift in economic value. And if the economy is moving that way, businesses will move that way, consumers will move that way, and therefore brands will need to show up, as well as agencies, to understand how we navigate that. And we believe that brands that get ahead of this like ever expanding ecosystem of tokenization will be the front leaders of this transformation in Web3. And, you know, we all saw this happen with the integration of the mobile app economy. There was the chip in the shoe moment where Nike put their chip in the shoe, and you could track on your iPod your running patterns while listening to music. That wasn't the future state of Nike Plus, which is their platform now, and they have 60 million members that come into that platform on average 3 times a week. So they no longer have to send one message to billions. They understand that user, and they can serve up personalized goods and services to that user that's coming to them. And so we believe NFTs is the chip in the shoe moment. How do we get in and learn to evolve and ultimately build the ecosystem and the platform that we know Web3 will enable for a variety of clients? And so as agency leaders, we felt that in order for us to responsibly shepherd our clients into the unknown and to explore, we needed a tech partner that was going to help us do that. And so we looked for a strategic partnership and found one in Ripple. Ripple is based in San Francisco, and they are one of the leading blockchain companies based out in the Silicon Valley. They're one of the only blockchain companies that have decacorn status. They've been in this game for the long term, and they're building it slow and steady. And they're using blockchain and cryptocurrency, and they're dedicated to creating financial gains in efficiency, equity, and inclusion around the world. On top of that, as Curt discussed earlier on the call, that NFT transactions and blockchains can be highly taxing to our climate, and that wasn't something that we were interested in. And not all ledgers and blockchains are environmentally friendly. However, Ripple's XRP ledger is not only the most secure ledger and one of the most cost-effective one. Their transaction fees are fractions of a penny, but it's also carbon neutral. And we really felt like that aligned to the values of our own organization at VSA Partners, but certainly aligned to the values of our clients. And so Ripple has launched a $250 million creators fund. And VSA is the premier creative partner for this fund. And the whole purpose of the fund is to bring artists, creators, brands alike into the fund to explore those utility use cases, those future use cases of NFTs, of how they could be integrated in building communities, opening up new business models, and ultimately transforming what branded experiences will be in the future of Web3. And so if anyone is interested in the fund, please do reach out. The fund is there to act in a few ways. It's to fund VSA for the exploration and the work, thinking about what an NFT could be for your client, but also to provide like a money back guarantee if we believe that the NFT program is going to earn over $1 million, and Ripple believes that as well, they'll ensure that no matter what, they will pay you the $1 million if the NFTs don't sell. So if they sell for 750,000, then they'll give you 250,000 to make it whole. So it's like a psychological safety net and a financial safety net for brands to participate and explore in this universe. And one of the first brands that we're bringing to market with Ripple, which will be kind of fully announced and live sometime this summer, is in partnership with Rare Air Media, a close personal and professional relationship that Curt has had with a man named Mark Vansel. He's been a journalist and a sports writer for 20 years and has, spent a bulk of that time covering the legendary career of Michael Jordan. He has a significant amount of content about the man behind the magic, really like an intimate account of who he is and what it felt like to be him during that time. And we are bringing a series of Michael Jordan NFTs to market to kind of unlock that mystery of who that unbelievable man was, and what it was like to be him during that time. So Curt, anything to say about Rare Air Media and the work that we're bringing to market?
Oh, well, just that, I'll come back and just stress one point here. I think that, as we think about NFTs, again, we're thinking about the utility, right? So the digital and the physical, how they're coming together, how different forms of multimedia are being used. And so we have, we're taking that into consideration in designing these NFTs. Also, it's important that they feel like they're original pieces of art. So what you're seeing right here are just 3 of the 4 lithographs, which were created after Michael's 6th championship. But today we're bringing together, there'll be voice recordings, there'll be newly animated aspects of this, along with some other special physical items that will also be a part of it. So again, as we think about this, as we think about doing things that are appropriate for brands, it's like you have to really, as you create and design these NFTs, they have to feel appropriate to the brand. And so just like anything else, that we all create for our clients and for our customers, ensuring that there's authenticity behind what we make, and that it feels appropriate to the brand and appropriate to the audience, relevant to the audience, are things that we're taking into consideration as we make these.
Great. So that is the end of our presentation. I believe we can take questions now. Is that correct, Stephanie?
Yes, that is correct. So we've already had a couple of questions coming through in the chat box. If anyone has any more questions, please send them to me, or you can use the raising your hand icon and I'll call on you guys. Okay, so someone has said, quick question here for the presenters, what would be the most important potential value or use of NFTs in the PR industry? How can we leverage them?
That's a great question. So I would say in the PR industry, if you are, what I've seen so far is, sorry, Curt, were you want to jump in? I see your hand.
Oh, no. Yeah, no.
Oh, okay. I just jumped right in there. Sorry about that. So what I'm seeing in terms of like PR and creating buzz is that with NFTs, there's got to be some sort of value that you're unlocking. And so if you're trying to promote a particular event, or if you're trying to promote a particular, kind of like product drop, there's got to be some sort of kind of utility that you will develop with the NFTs, i.e. some sort of VIP access that the individual will get, the buyer of the NFT will get to whatever it is that you're trying to promote, whether that is, exclusive content that is associated with the product that you're about to drop. If there's some sort of event that you're trying to promote, maybe that is some sort of exclusive experience that individual will get within the event. I think the more you think about how you tie the NFT to the actual utility of your work, the greatest amount of value that you're going to derive from the program.
That's really helpful. Thank you. So another question that's just coming through the chat. Vivica has asked, do NFTs have to be linked to crypto? In Hong Kong and China, where this guest is from, most of the NFTs can be bought via credit cards.
That's correct. Yes. So originally, it did have to be linked to crypto. Now there are a variety of different solutions and white label platforms that are being built, that Curt and I are working with on behalf of our clients, where they are enabling, the payment portal for the end user, for the buyer to, be able to transact with your credit card. The backend system is traded in crypto, but that can be transferred to whatever your local currency is on, in that instant, or at the end of the day, and be transacted and, turned into cash.
Perfect. Thank you. Hopefully that answers your question. Another question. Alfa Romeo has just launched a new SUV that comes with its own NFT that keeps all the car's details in it to help resale value. Do you think this is a good use of NFTs, or are they just jumping on a bandwagon?
No, I think that's a brilliant use of it. That is exactly the type of utility that Ripple is looking to unlock. That's real value. Curt, I don't know if you want to speak to that, because I think that is certainly something that we see the future of NFTs to be. It's like when they become really functional and boring, like NFTs are going to be your home deed, or eventually they're going to be your patient, your healthcare records that you'll be able to access and distribute to whoever you choose. That type of like utility is really fundamental to the future of Web3. Sorry,
Yeah,
Curt.
I will agree with that. I'll just say that I think that, the art, art and music and some of these examples that I raised before were sort of great in creating hype. But if you think about what the long-term value is, it'll be aspects like this, like the SUV example, homes, cars, as Sarah said, healthcare records, maybe even like personal trusts. You can imagine where, everything that matters to us in this world that has value can be stored on ledgers more securely and more transparently, if desired, on blockchains. And so the SUV is a great example.
Yeah.
Brilliant, thank you. So we've had another question in the chat. Any good cases on using NFTs for fast moving consumer goods?
Yeah, we're trying to explore that right now with the consumer good client. You know, one of the ones that I think are really interesting is when, you know, it's not just about brand building. I think Charmin toilet paper came out with one a couple of years ago, and it was like, it was a little bit of tongue in cheek, you know, and it was about brand building, which is important. But what we're trying to explore right now is like, how could you have a CPG company that could create an NFT program that could link it to in-store purchases and increased basket size across their retail partners? And that type of utility and like function through the customer journey is really where we see the future of CPG NFTs going.
Great, thank you. Also, are you seeing many agencies using NFTs at the moment? And if so, who's doing well in your view?
So Curt, do you want to talk to that, or should I jump in again? I feel like I'm taking.
Well, yeah, no, go ahead. Yeah, take it.
Okay. So I would say right now it's in its infancy. I think, you know, NFTs were in a highly exploration phase. There's been some really interesting ones that I've seen that's come out of, you know, Huge and RGA that are, you know, kind of fun and engaging and brand building. But I believe that the true utility of it is yet to be explored. And that's where we're focused with Ripple. And I think that's where the business value is going to be derived. So when something is really functional and it shows actual commercial value for the long term, I think that that's really when we'll get excited at VSA.
Yeah. And if I would interpret the question or answer it sort of differently, I see right now a lot of brands are going direct to the marketplace, to like the, you know, Mintables or OpenSeas, or they're going right to the blockchains themselves, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple, to create this content. And so we're partnering with someone right now. I mean, they're building in-house creative departments. And so, you know, I think it's really important, if the agency world wants to participate, we have to bring a certain unique value to it, that the because a lot of the crypto or the blockchain companies have engineers and technologists, right? But they don't have necessarily the creative firepower yet. And so I think it's important, if agencies want to compete and participate in this, that they should be moving more aggressively in order to capitalize on this initial opportunity.
Perfect, thanks. Another question from the conversation. Could or are agencies using NFTs to protect their creative IP?
I don't know of that right now, but I've been thinking about the exact same thing. You know, especially if I was thinking about, like, even like in pitches, right? Where, you know, where sometimes you would create content and maybe you didn't win the pitch, but suddenly you see this brand start using those creative ideas, but they're using them with a different agency. It could be a way of if you could, you know, mint your creative ideas, then they would become, you'd have greater ownership over them. That might be an example or potential use. Oftentimes, so in like a lot of the agreements that even like we have, everything you make for someone becomes theirs. So, you know, it would probably require different agreements or something, you know, with our customers. But I'm not sure what everyone's, you know, individual contracts are like. But it might be a way of protecting intellectual property on pitches. That might be a potential use.
Cool. Well, that would be a really exciting turn of events if it could. Another question. We've got quite a few of these. So Gary V released a batch of NFTs which give access to a restaurant as the first of its kind. Do you think a high value of entry, such as the price of certain utility-based NFTs, could deter people from embracing the technology?
Sorry, Stephanie, could you repeat the last bit of that question? I want to make sure I
Sure.
heard it and understood it.
Sure. And I can also call on the person who asked. So the second half was, do you think a high value of entry, such as the price of certain utility-based NFTs, could deter people from embracing the technology?
Because they're too expensive, is the question.
Yeah, Mark, I don't know if you want to jump in here, but just if you want to clarify if that's what you meant. Is Mark Luna about?
Yep. Here he comes.
Hello.
Hi. So I think pretty much my question is would be certain NFTs are kind of like are valued at a high price on the secondary market.
Yeah.
But on release, they're normally at a lower price. So in the case of kind of people who are not so into the technology of NFTs, do you think kind of like that high value would kind of deter them? Because, you know, not everyone has one Ethereum or so to spend on kind of like a utility-based NFT, if that makes sense.
Oh, yes. Okay. Now I understand what you're saying. Yes. No, I agree. And to be honest, Ripple agrees. I think like one of the issues with Ethereum is, you know, like their transaction costs are so expensive. And so it doesn't really matter when you're selling like a piece of art for $69 million and your transaction cost is over, you know, $100 or so. But it certainly is if you're trying to democratize access, you know, through a utility NFT to a variety, you know, a wider audience, i.e., you know, ticketing for a sporting event or a music event, et cetera. And so the reason, you know, why Ripple's really been focused on building on their platform to ensure that it is, you know, it remains the most secure platform in the world, but to drive those transaction costs down so it's a fraction of a penny, so that they can drive wide use and wide adoption of NFTs and trading those NFTs at scale. And so I think there's like, you know, they certainly kind of like started out at the high end, but in the end of the day, they're going to be, you know, low cost, low transaction, and, you know, will be able to be utilized as portals to access to, you know, events, to some sort of, you know, utility that you're trying to derive out of that NFT, et cetera. So I agree with you, Mark. It was too expensive before, but we're going to see those come down.
Yeah. I see a question in chat here. I'd like to take a stab at from Jonah.
Oh, thank you. I was just gonna read that one out.
Okay. Would utility-based NFTs like the ones we were describing be exposed to the same level of volatility? I think they would be. And let me give you an example. And maybe not all of them universally across the board, but you know, I'm a sports guy. You know, I like to go to games. But if I'm a season ticket holder for the Blackhawks, and with that comes an NFT, and that is part of my season ticket. And when I go to watch the Blackhawks, you know, maybe once a season I get to sit down in the penalty box to watch them warm up. Maybe I get special access, or you know, to limited edition items, you know, in the stores, et cetera, et cetera. You can come up with a bunch of stuff, right? Well, the value of that NFT may be worth a lot when they're on a good run, right? Just like, you know, the cost of a ticket goes up, but the Blackhawks have been playing kind of crummy lately. And so as a result of that, you can't give the tickets away, right? So I think that the value, I would imagine the value, the volatility will still be there. the value of the NFT probably rises and falls with the success or the value of the brand or of the experience. Where maybe it's a little bit different is once I sell my season tickets, right, for the Blackhawks, because I think they're going to be crummy for a while, so I'm going to sell that. I'm going to sell the NFT that goes along with that. There is a case where the buyer buys the ticket from me, but in any future transactions, as those season tickets change hands, I could still, as one of the original NFT holders, collect a royalty every time that season ticket is resold down, for the next, 20 or 30 years. So while there may be volatility along the way, the real value that may be unlocked is that royalty as they continue to change hands for future generations. So there's a few thoughts in there, but I think the answer to your question is yes. I think that volatility is there.
Thanks very much. Another question. The Vatican entered NFTs first by using someone else's platform last year, then this month announced they are starting their own NFT gallery. For a client of such size, what would be considered when deciding how to enter the NFT space and take them to market?
And who was the client? I'm sorry.
The Vatican.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, who's the client?
Quite a large brand. So that's a great question. And we're definitely seeing that this trending this way. And this is, how we view we're going to be taking our clients' brands to market, is that you will have your own NFT platform, right? It will be your own branded portal to, building experiences within Web3 and the metaverse. And it's just starting out with NFTs. And so, there are, like, as I said before, there are white label platforms that can be fully branded the Vatican. You can have a series of NFT drops that would be integrated within that platform. And through that platform is like a pure payment system. A payment portal is enabled. You can transact it on a credit card, but the back-end minting and smart contracting system is integrated within that same platform, and it can be built on any blockchain around the world. So we do really see that that will be the future, where brands will have their own integrated platform that elevates, has a series of content that's associated with NFTs today, but with that back-end infrastructure to be building into the metaverse, and to enable that interoperability through blockchain technology, and crypto solutions, in the future.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, just like e-commerce platforms, right? They're sort of working behind the scenes for most brands, and I think that'll be the case, especially for powerful brands. They don't want to send you, like, if you go to the Mike Tyson NFT site, if you were to try and do a transaction, you would end up going over to Mintable or somewhere else to actually do the transaction. But if you go to Lamborghini NFTs, you never leave the Lamborghini experience, which I think is where most brands will want to be. So if you're on, I don't know, any website, Warby Parker, and you're buying a pair of Warby Parker glasses, you can also probably, you'll be able to do your transaction right there for your NFT if you want, if they begin to offer them. I don't think these secondary markets, will be for the big powerful brands. I think the big powerful brands will just integrate these platforms into theirs.
Great, thank you. I think we've got a couple of minutes for a couple more questions. Okay, so one question, when talking with clients, do you find that they understand NFTs, or do you have to do a lot of education when selling the idea of using NFTs?
Well, yeah, let's go back to that first quote. We have a lot of clients that are interested in talking to us about NFTs. This says 60% of marketers don't know what the metaverse is, but they're going to invest in it this year. So clearly there's a significant amount of pressure that's coming down from the board on them to understand the space. But they don't, right? It's like so there is a lot of education that comes with it, which is, to be honest, one of the main reasons why we really wanted to build this partnership with Ripple. Like, their understanding of the infrastructure and the future that this technology is going to enable has equipped us, with the tools for us to truly understand and help guide our clients and educate them for how they would invest today, but ultimately what they need to build for the next 5 to 10 years.
Amazing. Thank you. All right. I think that we probably need to wrap up now. This has been absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much for this. So on behalf of everyone, I'd just like to give a really big thank you to Sarah and Curt for that great webinar and for helpfully answering all of those questions as well. If you did have a question that you didn't have time to ask, you can contact Sarah and Curt. I'm now going to share their details on the screen. So as you can hopefully see, Sarah Lent's email address is slent@vsapartners.com, and Curt's is cschreiber, that's EIBER, @vsapartners.com. And you can find out more about VSA at vsapartners.com. So just want to say another huge thank you. Thank you to everyone for coming. We really hope you enjoyed it. We'll be sharing this recording of the webinar via email and on our website, and we'll also be hosting more webinar Wednesdays once a month. So again, head over to our website to check out future webinar Wednesdays and to see the recordings of past ones. So thank you very much. Have a great day. I'm just going to quickly put our website in the chat for your reference. Bear with me. That is done. So I think we're about ready to wrap up. Thank you guys so much again. That was really, really fantastic. Really appreciate your time today.
Thank you from us for having us. It was really lovely to be here. So thank you so much, Stephanie and Paul and Julian.
Good, thank you very much. And thank you everyone for coming. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye all.